particular at a data set that was very messy, 20 numbers all scattered together. I called those raw data, which is what this is. This is your guys' raw data right here. Raw data. Raw data. And raw data is fantastic. You have raw data. I think it was Tom that said, or somebody in here said, when you have raw data, there's no uncertainty in the data. You know exactly what you had. Somebody verbalized that in class, and I forget who it is now because it's been 5 days. Very often, though, you won't get the raw data. You will instead get this. This is your exact same data, but presented in grouped, organized histogram form. Now, when you read research journals, this is what you will get very, very often is data. We're seeing some knowing nods. Yes, I've seen this before. That's wrong. Yes. This is what you get. Now, we discussed last week some of the shortfalls with getting the data like this. Can you remember any of the shortfalls of getting the data like this? Numbers are grouped together, which some people like because it was organized, but Kel, what was a problem too with having grouped together?
You don't know how many of each specific number.
I know now 10 of you had between 0 and 2 keys. I don't know how many zeros, I don't know how many ones, I don't know how many twos. I know that 19 of you had between 3 and 5 keys. I don't know how many 3s, don't know how many 4s, or how many 5s. A couple of you had 12 to 14, no idea where they are.
You can't find the averages and the modes and the means and the estimates, or you can't.
My question is, can you?
You can't.
Given the data in this form, would it be possible for us to get close to the average, median, or mode based off just this graph?
No.
What does your gut feeling say? Now, I say close, not exact, but Lloyd, no. Vote for no. Who says no? Hell no, we can't. Oh, don't agree with you, my friend. Who says yeah? Yeah. Who says yeah? Who says maybe? Okay, so maybe there. Maybe. Well, let's think about it. Let's go back to our definitions. When I asked you what you think of when you think of the word average, what are some of the words you came up with? Middle, probable, typical, frequent, things like that. Can you see any of those things on this graph? Middle, typical, frequent? Pick one and show me where it is on the graph. Please, Sandra.
The frequency for the 3.5 is higher, so.
Okay, so looking at, now this is, some of this is a function of how I grouped them, but I love what you said. When you look at the bars, the 5 bars that I've broken the data into, there is one bar that is the highest. That bar corresponds to 3 to 5. That would imply that based on how I've grouped the data in this graph, and there's a lot to be said about this, Tom. I'm sure Bruce talked about how to build these things properly, which we'll talk about in this class too. That's the highest bar, which means that's the most frequent. And most frequent, I would tie back into the word typical, probable, and the other words you guys use that are similar to that, wouldn't I? So I think we can closely pull the mode off of this. What would you call the mode of this data set? So let's do it this way. Let's do, on this screen over here, we already have our data from the raw. This is the raw data calculations right here. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. I'm just gonna put 4.1 here. Okay? And this is all raw data. We actually had all the individual data points. Now we're going to do grouped data, histogram data, what's called a weighted average, weighted means, and things like that. So we'll go over here and we'll go with grouped data. Okay? So it looks like we're going for mode first. I got no problem with that. What do you want to call the mode? Great. There's 2 ways you can think about it. 2 ways you can think about it. You can say it's 3 to 5. It's from 3 to 5. What if I asked you to give me exactly one number? I vote for 4, a second for 4, a third for 4, a fourth for 4. All in favor of 4? All opposed? Any discussion needed? Oh my God, you haven't even discussed this. Why'd you pick 4? Because in between 3 and 5. Why not pick 3? Because it's not in between 3 and 5.
Well, you can.
It's the mode of the 3 numbers.
It's the median of the 3 numbers, right? No, that's good. That's good. It's the median of the 3. I love that. But why not just pick 3 or pick 5? This is a loaded question. You might not know the answer yet. Sandra, go ahead.
Well, it would be like he had said, part of it should be below and part of it should be above.
If you called the mode 5, you're making the assumption you're making the assumption that most likely the bar is heavy on one side or heavy on the other side in the case of 3. On average, and you might not buy this today, you will hopefully buy it on Thursday. On average, it's going to balance. Over time, on average, over repeated trials, over much, much different behavior, it will balance to the center. So in other words, if you picked 5, you'll be overestimating the data. If you pick 3, you'd be underestimating the data. So 4 is like, what's it? Is it Baby Bear? The Goldilocks and the 3 Bears? Picking 4 is just right, because we're picking the center. Even, we're micro-centering it. We're looking for the center, but in the bar, we center it as well. Yes, very good way of putting it, actually, Sandra. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So the mode is 4. Now, we know that the mode actually is 3. We know that the mode actually is 3, but we're going to call it 4. How close did we get? Is it terrible?
No.
It's not terrible. It's actually pretty damn close. So mode, check. I can live with that. What's next? I heard somebody say middle. Want to go for the average or the median? How the hell can we get the median from this graph? What do you think? Any ideas how we get the median from this?